Tena hili si hivyo,
mambo ni matatu.
Tena hili si hivyo,
mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've always opined on this platform on many occasions that in politics nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve specific political objective. Nothing just happens for the sake of it. For those been following the political developments in the Republic of Kenya very closely, two major political events took place recently. Towards the end of last year, Uhuru Kenyatta and Kalonzo Musyoka traveled all the way to Nigeria for some meeting. And anybody who keenly followed that event the way I did, something was just off about that meeting. The audience were just a few people picked from here and there. But a former president and a former vice president of the Republic of Kenya traveled all the way to Nigeria to address those meetings. I knew that those meetings were just organized, but was not the real intention of Kalonzo and Uhuru traveling to Nigeria. The truth is now finally out. The second thing is that a few weeks ago, Jubilee Party made some changes to its leadership. In those changes, Jeremiah Kioni was removed as the Secretary General of Jubilee Party. And I asked myself several questions. Clearly, the intention was to remove Jeremiah Kioni, who was thwarting any attempt of Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua to work together. Today, the truth is out. There is this headline. There's this story in the Standard newspaper, and it's actually forming the headline today. In that story, let me just read for you some 2 or 3 paragraphs because it's going to form the basis of this analysis. Fresh details have emerged of how former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is pushing for a meeting between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to craft a strong opposition to face President Ruto in 2027. During that event in Nigeria, they met Obasanjo. That's true. Obasanjo is said to have met Uhuru and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka on 31st December on the sidelines of the Future Africans Leaders Award, a continental forum that recognizes young Africans driving social, economic, and civic change held in Lagos, Nigeria. Uhuru had attended the event as a keynote speaker, where his message was that Africa does not lack ideas, energy, or talent, but needs leadership anchored on strong values and accountability. Multiple sources indicated that the 3 leaders during their meeting held that there is need for a united opposition which would produce one formidable candidate in next year's poll to face President Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza brigades. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I want us to talk about that deal which has been brokered. And according to this story, you can buy the Standard today, the two are supposed to have a handshake this month. And that's going to be a major political blow to William Samoei Arap Ruto. I want to explain to you guys why William Ruto and his team are actually worried, are in panic mode over this deal between Uhuru and Rigathi Gachagua. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But I want to make a request to you guys. In this video, please press that thumbs up button. And also for the Ligang, you know yourself, it's been long. Please drop your comment and let me know where you are watching the video from in the comment section. I'm back and I'm fully back. I only know that maybe on Friday and a bit of Thursday, I might be out. A friend of mine lost the brother. He's a very good friend of mine in Ndewa, and I'll go there on Thursday until the burial day. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this event, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this deal is going to affect Ruto are as follows. Number one, the Mount Kenya factor in 2027. 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya is going to be won or lost in the mountain. If the mountain will be united against Ruto and they wake up and find the motivation to go and punish Ruto, then Ruto is going to be in problem. Because William Ruto won the presidency courtesy of the mountain. But they fell out. And Ruto was banking on the fact that the mountain was likely not to vote as a bloc. Uhuru with Matiang'i, Rigathi with Kalonzo. So if they were to cast those votes in one basket, I can assure you, that's going to be serious blow to William Ruto. Because for William Ruto, he has a major challenge. He can easily win the support of the lawyer. He can easily win the support of the Luos. But there must be something which will motivate, for example, the Luo nation to wake up very early and vote. And that's why strategically you can see William Ruto is busy focusing on voter registration, especially in the Luo region. So the Mount Kenya factor, voting as a bloc, can actually complicate the equation for the president. But it will depend also with the formation, which brings me to my second issue, the winning formation. You see, for the opposition to succeed, they must produce a presidential candidate, a single one, and they must get the right running mate, and they must also get a good explanation to other people. For example, if they were to agree that the presidential candidate is Kalonzo, deputized by Matiang'i, will they get the support of the lawyer? Which means they will have to find a better explanation to convince the lawyer nation to vote for them. If, for example, Kalonzo were to be the presidential candidate and then they pick on Edwin Sifuna as a running mate, then they will have to convince the cases why they picked Sifuna over Matiang'i. And for me, now that Uhuru and Rigathi are going to work together, finding that winning formation might not be difficult. For example, Kalonzo might say, okay, let's say Rigathi and Kalonzo might say, okay, our camp, we are insisting, let us have Matiang'i. For example, Kalonzo and Rigathi can say, okay, us, we are proposing to have Kalonzo as the candidate. And then these are the reasons why we want Kalonzo. Then it will not be easy for Uhuru Kenyatta to also sacrifice and say, okay, let us produce a running mate. And that running mate we are giving you Fred Matiang'i. But I want to take Nairobi. Then Nairobi now, because he's also controlling Kenya Kwanza of Sifuna, he's saying Sifuna is going to be the senator. And let's say Babu Wino, through Uhuru, now becomes the governor for Nairobi. That winning formation, they can easily craft if the goal is to remove Ruto. Number three, and this is another headache, the parliamentary control. You have the Kisi, you have a bit of lawyer, you have the Kikuyus, and then you have the Kambas. And they agreed that, okay, they are part of the united opposition. Is there anything that can stop them from sweeping Nairobi? Nothing. So if they sweep Nairobi from MCs, MPs, even governors, Of course, William Ruto will get the vote of the Luos, a bit of lawyers, a bit of the Somalis there, but they're likely to sweep those constituency level, the MCA seats. Even the Senate in Nairobi, they can easily sweep. They can then move to Nakuru, do the same. From Nakuru, they can move to Coast, specific constituencies in Taita Taveta, specific constituencies in Mombasa, specific constituencies in some of those coastal counties. And if they consolidate the Kamba, they sweep Mount Kenya, they will have the numbers, which means they can actually control parliament. Ruto might win the presidency, but they control parliament. Very dangerous. Number 4, and it's one of the questions which most Kenyans have been asking themselves. Is the opposition ready for this war financially? Because 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya is going to be the most expensive election in the history of the Republic of Kenya since independence. William Ruto campaigned as an outsider with the serious financial muscles. As we speak, William Ruto is ready for this election. He's the president, which means he's prepared for it. He will be using state resources, like for example, the Nyota event alone is part of that strategy. He will not have to spend a lot of money on fuel. He's the president. The state will fund. So the question has always been, is the opposition prepared? Right now, with Kalonzo, with Uhuru, and with Rigathi working together, I can assure you they'll be able to raise enough resources. Because Uhuru has enough resources. He has enough friends. And the fact that they are united, they will even be able to attract funding from interested business people. People will look at, okay, the way to nona ikitu, it might go the other way around. It can either go this side or this side. So they'll do multi-bet. Wataweka pesa kwa Ruto, waweke pesa kwa Kalonzo. And with Uhuru Kenyatta's international networks now, they will be able to get enough funding. And that has been the biggest problem. And lastly, politics is a perceptional game. If the opposition is divided, you can easily conclude that they have no chance of defeating William Ruto. And that's why on this platform, I've always asked you whether William Ruto will sit somewhere and wait for the united opposition to unite and produce a single candidate to face him. He's going to infiltrate them. But perceptionally, as long as these guys are united, their voters will be persuaded to believe that they are likely to win. For example, if Kalonzo is the presidential candidate and Uhuru and Rigathi are now working together, can you convince a Kamba that Kalonzo does not have a chance of winning? And because they'll see a chance of winning, what they will do is that they will wake up very early in the morning. They'll put their resources together and then they'll be able to actually support that candidate. But in a case where they were disorganized, the way they have been, or they were not united, I mean, it was going to be very difficult to even convince those Kambas that a divided opposition can defeat Ruto. And because of that unity, they will be able to share their international networks. They'll be able to share their numbers, which will actually translate to tyranny of numbers. So if William Ruto is keen on winning, he must monitor the political developments, especially as far as the unity of the opposition is concerned. Because without doing that, I can assure you, they have the potential of making Ruto a one-term. And the way I keep on repeating, William Ruto is not your ordinary politician. This is a man who defeated Raila. He's a man who defeated Uhuru. combined. Uhuru was a president. Raila was the man of numbers. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you watched it up to this stage, please just in the comment section, press or type present. Bye-bye.